This week on C Plus News Time, we've got a lineup for the High Plains Comedy Festival, ousted SNL stars, already landed new projects, and some Fox news, or rather, news about Fox. I don't subscribe to that cable dribble. How can a Fox even speak human words to say the news anyway? That question won't be answered on this C Plus News Time.
It's C Plus News Time, delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White.
I wish I was fat, then I'd have a hearty fat person laugh and heart disease. Welcome back to C Plus News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the comedy news you didn't know about for the week of August 8th, 2016. Before I get into the hard-hitting news I know you want, I've got a bunch of quick hits for you to get off on. Donald Glover's Atlanta got 6 whole teasers this week. Not much is known about the show outside of the cast and the synopsis, but otherwise it looks like every other show on FX, except this time there's more black people. Atlanta debuts on September 10th. Cameron Esposito and Rhea Butcher's CISO show Take My Wife has all 6 episodes on NBC streaming service. And 2016 Ghostbusters will not be getting a sequel. Yes, it's all thanks to you, people who didn't want to see a movie because women were starring in it. Because of the meager box office performance, hate tweets, and you being a bunch of little pansies about your childhood, the franchise is set to die a slow, plodding death. Our first real story concerns Denver's High Plains Comedy Festival. This year's lineup was announced, and it includes fan favorites like Jonah Ray, Eliza Skinner, Jermaine Fowler, Aparna Nancherla, and some of Denver's top performers. If you didn't know, High Plains was started by Adam Caton Howland, who is part of True TV's Those Who Can't with his group The Grawlix. They're also throwing a final day party with appearances by Bobcat Goldthwait, Baron Vaughn, and more. The High Plains Festival goes from August 25th to the 27th, and tickets are available right now. Next up, almost a full day after getting fired from Saturday Night Live, both Pharaoh and Taran Killam landed pilots at Showtime. These pilots were already in pre-production, they just needed stars. Pharaoh will star in a pilot from producer Jamie Foxx called White Famous that focuses on a black comedian whose growing fame causes him to skirt the line of, wait for it, white famous. Oh, and Fox is set to have a recurring role. The show is written by Lucifer creator Tom Kapanos, and Tim Story is directing the pilot. Killam is taking part on Mating, an anthology pilot of sorts following a divorcee who is in wonder of the current dating world. Now, the anthology part comes into play when next season they'll see a different leading man or woman as they go through the dating world. Stu Zitterman is the writer and the EP. And finally, Fox is planning a New Girl and Brooklyn Nine-Nine crossover. For one glorious hour, 2 of broadcast comedy's best shows will meet up and do weird things together. While Brooklyn Nine-Nine's opening will deal with the repercussions of Peralta and Holt being in the witness protection program in Florida, New Girl is starting to tread the same lame and annoyingly stupid and overdone roots of a Nick and Jess reunion. Seriously, stop it. It's why I skipped this 3rd season entirely. The October 11th event has Jess and the gang going to New York, where they'll presumably run into the Nine-Nine, or most likely be involved in some kind of misunderstanding. Co-creator of Nine-Nine, Dan Goor, joked the viewers should be ready to see the cast do raps on Empire and talk football on Fox NFL Sunday. But it's an interesting move to go back to the days of TV Yonder with crossovers. After all, they were huge back in the 80s and 90s. Alf and Gilligan's Island met up in season 2 of episode of Alf somewhere over the rerun, The Ballad of Gilligan's Island, which had Alf adoring reruns of the show. He falls asleep and dreams he's on the island where he meets the crew. While the episode only had a few of them, the excitement of having 2 beloved sets of characters on screen at the same time always puts a warm sensation in my heart. Crossovers continue to be in mainstay television, comedy especially. NBC had a must-see event called Blackout Thursday, where 3 of the 4 sitcoms that aired that night made their way into each other's universes in pretty much the smallest of ways. Mad About You causes a blackout checkout, which stranded Chandler in the subway on Friends, and one of the characters in Madam of the People was stuck too. After that, Phoebe Buffay's sister Ursula popped up on Mad About You. But Hanna-Barbera ruled the crossover stage. In 1987, the Jetsons met the Flintstones after a time travel machine took the futuristic family to the prehistoric era. That same year, Yogi Bear flew a Hughes H-4 Hercules known as the Spruce Goose with his friends Huckleberry Hound, Quick Draw McGraw, Snagglepuss, Augie Doggy Doggy Daddy, and the dubious Dread Baron and his mumble-bragging sidekick Mumbly. A few years later, in 1991, Golden Girls, Empty Nest, and Nurses all went through a hurricane in Miami known as Hurricane Saturday. Oddly enough, Nurses is a spin-off of Empty Nest, which in itself is a spin-off of Golden Girls. All shows continue to touch bases with each other once in a while, but that's not the last major event for the three shows. The Full Moon over Miami event also eclipsed the world of elderly entertainment, but this time with a full moon on Leap Day. The Simpsons had their own crossover with the critic's Jay Sherman, much to creator Matt Groening's dismay, seeing the episode as more of an advertisement for the Al Jean co-created show The Critic. And the show also minced with the X-Files. Staying on The Simpsons, the unspeakable finally happened. Both Family Guy and Futurama crossed over with the long-time running series with decent success. While The Simpsons guy didn't have the tone of classic or modern Simpsons, the Simpsons cross Futurama Simpsorama was another interesting adventure for both parties. That's not Family Guy's only mishmash, though. Under the Night of the Hurricane, an homage to the aforementioned Hurricane Saturday, all three Seth MacFarlane shows at the time, Cleveland Show and American Dad included, dealt with the preparations of a weather event. Poultry ratings were somewhat brought up by the adventure. Other crossovers include characters of the Beverly Hillbillies, Green Acres, and Petticoat Junction being used interchangeably. Frasier and Cheers, and ABC attempted to, but never acted out on, Sabrina Chasing Salem through Boy Meets World, You Wish, and Teen Angel because magic and Time Ball. Nickelodeon had its fair share too. Zoey 101 checked out iCarly's website, who partied with Victorious, that also featured Drake and Josh characters, and Rugrats told a story of Ah Real Monsters. Disney rocked it occasionally through the early 2000s, and even to this day with That's So Raven, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and Hannah Montana hanging out, the latter two being visited by Wizards of Waverly Place, Phineas and Ferb dealing with Marvel heroes, Jessie on Liv and Maddie, and so much more. So much more. Look, crossovers are a mainstay of television. For every one I mentioned here, there are 10 more that I skipped over because otherwise we'd be here all day. It's nice to see event television coming back, but let's hope it's not like that other series, The Event. That was a whole lot of build up to nothing. An important part of these is that they keep the spirit of all the shows that are participating. I'm going off on a limb right now to say that a majority of the crossovers aren't integral to the overall message of the show, but that's not the point. They're supposed to be your favorite characters playing around with your other favorite characters. Broadcast TV is what started this trend of mix and matching universes, and it'll bring it back too. Every year I look forward to the Arrow and Flash crossover, and with Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl, there are a few more worlds to mess with. So here's to Modern Family meeting Blackish, the Goldbergs jumping ahead a few years to visit Fresh Off the Boat, and Mom meeting those two broke girls. And that's all the news I have for you for this week on C Plus News Time. Why don't you subscribe and check out one of our other videos? Of course, you can always go to the website cpluscomedy.com, where we've got the latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and other good comedy bits that only I can provide you with. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy, follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite, like us on Facebook, tumble with us on Tumblr, and a happy third year anniversary to C Plus Comedy. It's crazy that it's been 3 years, and through all the interviews, reviews, and features and videos, of course, you've always worked, and thank you for visiting the website and watching the stupid videos. It's cool, and be sure to follow your dreams, because, you know, one day they might help you out. So, thanks. No funny joke here. Bye.